welcome back to Nails Before Films. It's your favorite disgrace to society, and I'm back to reviewing anime. Today, I'll be reviewing Uma Musume Cinderella Gray. I absolutely love Cinderella Gray. I've been following the manga since the beginning, so I'm really happy that it got a good anime adaptation. Oguri Cap and Tamamo Cross are my favorite characters from the game, and their stories are so badass in real life. The manga is already great. I love how hardcore it goes, especially for a manga about cute horse girls. Personally, I still like the manga more, but the anime is solid. I highly recommend it. Before I get into Cinderella Gray, I've reviewed Uma Musume Pretty Derby Season 3 last year. Check that out if you like, link in the description. Anyway, let's get into it. For normies who don't know anything about Uma Musume, you probably think it's just a typical underdog sports anime. People just like it because of horse girl waifus. You sweet, ignorant child. Let me enlighten you on why Uma Musume is peak. The horse girls are based on real race horses, and the race results are how they happen in real life. The stories are not completely fictional. All of the insane wins actually happened. Granted, there are some exceptions like El Condor Pasa racing in the Japanese Derby or Silent Suzuka's injury in Season 1. For those who don't know what I mean, trust me, you don't want to know. Of course, Uma Musume heavily dramatized the stories and made the characters more human than horse. But it's still amazing to see what these horses did in real life, and making them cute anime horse girls certainly helps. Instead of telling you why the anime is lit, I will educate you on the real life of Oguri Cap and how cleverly Cinderella Gray adapted it. It's still a good anime even if you know nothing, but you can't truly appreciate Uma Musume unless you understand the lore. I won't go too deep or I'll be yapping about horse girls for hours. Feel free to comment on anything I missed below. Let's start with the name. Why Cinderella Gray? It's because Oguri's story is like Cinderella. He was a local horse with a mediocre pedigree, yet he became one of the most beloved racehorses and ushered in another golden age of horse racing. As for Gray, it's mentioned in the anime that gray horses can't run, and it was true at the time. Only one gray horse, Press Toko, had ever won a classic race, but Oguri Cap, alongside Tamamo Cross, shattered that perception and proved gray horses can run too. Hence the name Cinderella Gray. In the anime, Oguri couldn't even stand when she was a kid, so it's a miracle that she can run. This seems like a typical tearjerker of motherly love leading to a miracle, but it's real. When Oguri was born, his right front leg was turned outward so much that he couldn't stand. After the range staff's care, he got better as he grew up. The fact that Oguri eats a lot is real too. Oguri's dam had trouble producing milk and didn't like feeding, but Oguri had such an appetite that he even ate weeds. Thanks to this, he grew up strong. But that's not all. Many horses would lose weight after traveling, but not Oguri. He even gained weight. Almost nothing could affect his appetite. Oguri's shaking before races is based on real horse as well. Some horses, including Oguri, would shake from excitement before races. In Japan, it's called mushaburui, which roughly translates to warrior's tremble. Oguri debuted as a local horse in Kasamatsu, where he only lost twice in 12 races, and he was in second place both times. He was only defeated by March Tosho, or Fujimasa March in Cinderella Gray. An interesting trivia here is that March was sired by the aforementioned Press Toko, the first gray horse with a classic win. Before Oguri went to Chuo, March told her that she would stay on the tracks longer than her, and he did so in real life. Oguri retired in 1990, 2 years before March, and when Oguri died in 2010, March was still alive and well. As for Oguri's friend Berno Light, she's most likely based on Oguri's Kasamatsu groom and farrier. Oguri had hoof issues in his early races, as shown by the worn shoes in Cinderella Gray. His groom suspected that his performance was hindered by this. After cleaning up his hooves and treating the wounds, Oguri never lost in Kasamatsu again. Oguri's Kasamatsu Farrier went to Chuo with him, which was normally not permitted, but was specially allowed because the second owner insisted. In episode 4, The Junior Crown, Tamamo Cross showed up and watched the race. Oguri's performance motivated her and she became an unstoppable force afterward. This is somewhat based on real life as well. Oguri ran in Junior Crown on October 4th, 1987, and Tamamo raced on that day too. Including that race, Tama had lost all 5 races after his debut. But after that day, he went on to win 8 races in a row, including the first ever consecutive spring and fall Tenno show. It's a fascinating coincidence, and the way Cinderella Gray utilizes this is so clever. Granted, they had to omit Oguri's first 2 wins against March to make Junior Crown more dramatic, but by doing so, it advanced Oguri and March's rivalry and foreshadowed her future competition with Tama. In Cinderella Gray, the most important person to Oguri is naturally her first trainer, Kitahara Jo. Kitahara is mostly a combination of Oguri's Kasamatsu owner and trainer. Many Chuo owners were interested in buying Oguri after his Chukyo High win, represented by Symboli Rudolph's invitation after the race. Oguri's owner, who didn't have a Chuo license, loved his horse and refused to sell at first, but he was eventually convinced by Oguri's second owner that, for the honor of the horse, he should race in Chuo. Oguri's Kasamatsu trainer, whose dream was to win the Tokai Derby, was enraged by this and even refused to partake in the staff photo after Oguri's last Kasamatsu race. That being said, he still cared deeply about Oguri and attended his every Chuo race. Interestingly, Oguri's Kasamatsu owner would become a Chuo owner a year later and win a G1 race with Oguri's sister. Oguri went to Chuo after winning the Gold Junior, and I cried so hard when she turned around to tell Kitahara she's going to win, both when I read the manga and watched the anime. You'd think she turned around for dramatic effect, but even that's somewhat based on reality. During Oguri's last Kasamatsu race, his jockey turned around toward the end to check the other horses' positions. Cinderella Gray cleverly turned this seemingly trivial action into something impactful and emotional. Oguri's Kasamatsu jockey, Ando Katsumi, actually became a Chuo jockey 15 years after he last rode Oguri. He failed the test at first, which angered fans and caused discourse among the racing community. Many thought it was absurd that a jockey with 25 years of experience had to take the same basic tests as newbies. The JRA changed the rules next year to allow local jockeys with certain experience to skip the basic test. At that time, Ando was the only one who satisfies those criteria, so it was nicknamed Ankatsu Rule. Ando became a Chuo jockey a year later. Doesn't that sound familiar? Someone held back by stubborn rules had the racing community behind them and eventually pushed for outdated rules to change. That's right, Ando's story is very similar to Oguri's Japanese Derby. He himself even drew this parallel, saying that Oguri was the one who started the conversation when he couldn't run in the classic races. I was worried that Cinderella Gray would do a what-if Japanese Derby like in season 1. I never liked that because after building up the match, it ended in an anticlimactic tie. It feels like an unnecessary manufactured drama. If it were a regular sports anime, Oguri would probably be allowed to run after the overwhelming support. In reality, many people call for a rule change after Yaeno Muteki, who lost to Oguri in the Mainichi High, won the Satsuki Sho. Sadly, the change didn't happen then, but 4 years later, the JRA modified the rules to allow late registrations. Horses like TM Opedao benefited from this years later. Overlapping the Japanese Derby and the New Zealand Trophy in Cinderella Gray was very smart. Not only did it misdirect the audience into thinking Oguri ran in the Japanese Derby, but it also gave us an idea of what fans felt at the time. However, I think the manga did it better. It was pretty obvious in the anime that Oguri was in another race. Another trivia is that Sakura Chiyono O's sire, Maruzensky, couldn't race in the Japanese Derby due to regulations, and 4 years earlier, Chiyono O's older brother dropped out because of injuries, so his Japanese Derby win was quite meaningful. After the New Zealand trophy, Tamamo Cross won the Takarazuka Kinen. The trivia here is that the guy who lost, Nippoteo, was quite famous too. He won 3 G1 races in his career, but most importantly, he was the sire of Haruulala, everyone's favorite. Anyway, Oguri won his next 2 races, one of which was Mainichi Okan. You might think it's random that CDU Symbody started dancing before the race, but that kind of happened. He was restless before going into the gate and kicked 2 nearby horses, causing one to drop out of the race. Lastly, we have the full Tenno, the first match between Oguri and Tamamo Cross. Tama was a sensitive horse who had a small appetite, but as we saw in Cinderella Gray, she ate more than usual before the race. This happened in real life too. Tama was in excellent condition after traveling to Tokyo. His trainer suspected it was due to better water quality. Before the race, we met a sick old guy who was super important to Tama. He is loosely based on the ranch where Tama was born and raised, which opened 9 years before his birth. Early on, the owner purchased a mare and a stallion he thought had great potential, but no one was interested. The ranch ran into financial trouble, so he took a risk by mating the mare and stallion he owned, resulting in Tamamo Cross. However, Tama was tiny and weak. He was eventually sold for 4 to 5 million yen, but the ranch had incurred billions of debt at this point. The owner even had to sell Tama's dam, who died shortly after due to a scare at the new ranch, and he blamed himself deeply for that. This is why Tama's mom is so important to her in Cinderella Gray. Unfortunately, Tama performed poorly at the start, crushing the ranch's hope of staying afloat with his earnings. They shut down months before Tama's win streak. The owner's wife even left and took the kids. It was tragic that Tama couldn't save the ranch, but he did help reunite the owner's family. After Tama won the Spring Tenno, the owner's wife finally understood his dream, which brought the family back together. The ranch's financial struggle is also why Tama came from a poor family in Uma Musume and had trouble finding a home during her childhood in Cinderella Gray. After the race started, Tama surprised everyone by running in front, which happened in real life. The jockey did not tell Tama's trainer about the strategy change, which shocked him. Tama's jockey changed the strategy because he had ridden Oguri once before. He was stunned by his acceleration toward the end and concluded that Tama could only win if he pulled away as much as possible from the start, giving Oguri no chance to catch up. An interesting thing is that Tama's nickname, White Lightning, actually came from his sire, CB Cross. Although CB Cross had no graded race wins, he would often close in from behind toward the end of races, gaining him the nickname. So Tama was also called Lightning II. In real life, Oguri used all his strength to chase Tama. He tried to catch up from the outside, but ended up closer to the inside than Tama because he couldn't run straight anymore. In Cinderella Gray, this was the second time we saw Oguri lose, the first being her race with March in episode 3. But I believe most of us don't mind Tama winning. This is the beauty of Uma Musume. Every horse girl tries so hard to win, and you root for everyone, not just the main character. Lastly, I want to share why I like the manga better. I feel like the anime is still on the softer, more cutesy side, while the manga goes hard. The horse girls' faces twist in agony more in the manga, which makes it realistic. I love how you can feel how hard they are running and how painful it is. Like this scene before Tama's zone, the manga version packs more punch in my opinion. Some panels are also more impactful in the manga, like when Oguri threatens to catch up to Tama in Tenno. One thing that I really don't like about the anime is the start of episode 13, which was a Tenno recap to fill the runtime. After Oguri catching up to Tama at the end of episode 12, it was anticlimactic to see the whole thing play out again. Including the opening, the race doesn't progress until 5 minutes into the episode, which is almost a quarter of the runtime. None of the other episodes did this, and it was annoying that it happened to the most exciting race of the season. That being said, the anime is still great. They did their best to translate the style. There are parts of the races that look more powerful in animation, and it's always great to hear the voices of Oguri and Tama. I love Oguri's songs in Cinderella Gray. As much as I like Oguri, Unbreakable is one of my least favorite Uma Musume songs, but I love both Mugen and Brightest Heart. The sound effects and BGM also make the races more intense. Hearing Oguri's footsteps when she closes in on Tama is so cool. I'm surprised that the opening song wasn't sung by the Horse Girls, which might be a first, but the song itself is great. That's basically my thought on Cinderella Gray. I highly recommend both the manga and the anime. Hopefully, my short history lesson on Oguri make you more interested in these horses' real lives. Of course, I'm a bit biased because Oguri and Tama are my favorite horse girls, but I honestly think Cinderella Gray is just as good as Uma Musume Season 2. Please give it a try. Hope you guys like my review and nails. I did Oguri, Fujimasa March, Tamamo Cross, Yaeno Muteki, and Sakura Chiyono O. As always, like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, comment, share, do what you want. Keep nailing it, and may you get good sparks after each career, people.